everybody, in this video I'm going to finish decorating my Tea Party file folder book. In previous videos I assembled the file folders into this book and decorated all the backgrounds. Links to those videos are here and at the end of this video. Now we can begin creating all the decorations that are going to go inside the file folder book. I am taking some Finnabair paint and spraying it thinly on a piece of paper with my palette knife and doing the same thing with Nuvo vintage drops. The names and colors of all these products are listed in the description below. After I'd given those products a chance to dry, I'm going to be stamping on top of it with an archival black ink. And the reason I'm doing this is that I won't have to individually color all of these images. They will already be pre-colored for me, and I can cut them apart with my Fiskar micro snip scissors and layer them into my file folder book. Off camera, I did cut out all of these images so that you will not have to watch it. And now I'm going to begin layering into the actual file folder book. So I'm placing down some more of that Finnabair paint with my palette knife and also spraying it out a little bit with my fingers so that it's a very thin layer and I can begin layering some of my images on top. I'm also using that Nuvo drops, this time with the paintbrush, and creating dimensional flowers. This works really well, but you do have to instantaneously put your brush in water or it will dry onto the bristles of the brush and you will never be able to bring it back. But you can do this technique if you work quickly and immediately wash your brush. So I'm painting out all of the petals of the flowers, and then I'm also going to just spread out the extra on the other page, as you can see. Now I'm using a Dina Wakley media tool and just dipping it into this green paint and then lightly dotting it in the centers of my flowers to give them some dimension. And I'm going to glue everything down in this book with Dina Wakley Media Ultra Thick. I really like using this glue when I'm doing any kind of collage because it allows me about a 10-minute dry window that I'm able to reposition and move things and decide exactly how I want it when I'm layering. So for this page I decided to use the stacked teacups and also the individual teacup, and I'm just going to glue them down and then let this dry and I can continue altering it afterwards. I decided to highlight all of the florals on the stamped images with more of those Nuvo vintage drops and my paintbrush. And after I traced over all of the images so that the petals of the flowers now were dimensional, I once again put my paintbrush into water and washed it right away to preserve my paintbrush bristles. You could also just color this in with another product, but I liked the idea of having the dimensional petals on these flowers. I'm also taking care as I'm doing it to do one stroke and then leave it alone. If you do it back and forth and fuss with it too many times, you can spread it out and make it smooth and it will not have that dimensional quality that this particular product is known for. So I'm just putting it down once and leaving it alone to dry before I move on to the next step. Using the same techniques as I did before, I'm once again filling in both the center of the flowers and the greenery around the flowers with my Dina Wakley media tool and the Finnabair paint. And then I did also decide to highlight the spoon underneath the one singular teacup with the same green paint so that it also had a little bit of color and the stamp wasn't completely white. Now I can go in and start gluing in some of these tiny butterflies that I stamped just to finish and highlight the areas around the teacups. So I put the teacups in, did all the little details, and then I'm going back and adding in the butterflies. Now that I have the placement correct for the main images, I can decide where I want to fill in with butterflies. And I'm using a green one and a blue one. I did stamp some white ones. I could use those as well. And then my final step is after everything is 100% dry and cured, I'm going in with a white gel pen just to add some highlights on all of the green teacups and later teapots that I used to complete all of the focal points in this file folder book. Now we can begin working on the second page. So the first thing I'm doing is gluing down the larger teapot, once again using Dina Wakley Media Ultra Thick Gel Medium. And then I'm going to repeat the same techniques I did on the previous page to add dimensionality to the flowers with the Nuvo vintage drops and my paintbrush, and also to add some greenery with the Finnabair paint. Now, because a lot of these pages are going to be using similar techniques and a similar theme throughout, I'm only going to film the first 2 pages and then I will do a flip through so you can see how I completed the entire book. But I wanted to show you these steps so that you understood how I got to creating all of these pages. And then you can see once again, how I finished it in the end. So as I mentioned before, I painted on the flowers for some dimensional texture, and then I'm just highlighting some of the leaves around it with that same paint and adding in some highlights with my white gel pen. I'm also using the little marks that are on the stamp already showing the highlights so that it's a nice guide for adding in some white pen marks with my gel pen. You could, of course, skip this step, but I like adding in those little details that add just a little more interest when you're creating in your art journal and mixed media pieces. So like I said before, these are the first 2 pages in my file folder book, and now here are all of the spreads that I made off camera to complete this file folder book and have a 100% finished project. You could, of course, do different themes or different pages if you would rather, but I like having one themed book. Once again, the links if you want to see how I created this file folder book will be here at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you were inspired and create your very own file folder book. I'd love to see what you're working on, so post on social media and hashtag ArtJournalJunction. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button so YouTube knows you want to see more mixed media and art journaling videos in the future.